जय श्री माता जी। हम सभी परम पूज्य श्री माता जी की श्री चरणों में प्रणाम करके अपनी कुंडलिनी उठाकर वंदन लेंगे।
श्री गणेश Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha.
इसी ध्यान की स्थिति में अब हम सभी परम पूज्य श्री माता जी की अमृत वाणी को सुनेंगे।
Yesterday was such a nice time we had together, and we really enjoyed Diwali. I think I've never seen such a joyous ocean absolutely going in a tempest. We have achieved the purpose of Diwali Puja, I think, only yesterday, is to feel the joy of God's love. But Diwali word is from Deepavali, means the rose of lights. It was celebrated firstly because thousands of years back Shri Rama was crowned on this day. That means the benevolence of human beings was crowned, was accepted. And in Shri Rama's life, you see an ideal personality being shown to be a king, to be the benevolent king as described by Socrates. So this was a great joyous thing that a benevolent king was crowned. That means we have to have a king who is benevolent. That's only possible if the people who choose the king have no other consideration but that of benevolence of all the people. So, one has to come to the conclusion that they have to be Sahjogis. Because others think that how much money we'll get out of this power that we'll have. Some think how much power oriented we could be. Some think how many countries I can win. Or any other domination. So we've got two types of theories as we see, one is communism and another is democracy, where one is power oriented, the another is money oriented, and in both the cases we say that it's all failed. And it's a good news for all of you to know that Russia, which was a country known to be run in complete fear, has turned out to be the best for Sahaja. It is one of the superpowers. When the government is like that, I think the people are better. They do not have these false notions of individual freedom. They do not think that, what's wrong? I told them, you must put oil in your head because you will become bald. Next day all of them were down without nothing doing. So the kind of obedience they had from very beginning of their country, that sense of obedience is so great. You tell them anything, immediately they do it. Not one, thousands. 1,000 were sitting in the hall, 2,000 were outside waiting for me. On a follow-on. Imagine how wise and deep they are. While in the West we are lost in our so-called freedom, idea of so-called freedom. What's wrong? But actually we are slaves, if you see. Any fashion that starts, everybody starts doing it. But why? Why do we follow those fashions? We must see how we are slaves. Because others will laugh at us if we don't do like that. They'll make fun of us. Because they will criticize us. So, because they have got a freedom to criticize, we are frightened of such people who can criticize. And now the criticizing people are criticizing them. Critics have critics, there are other critics and there are critics after critics. So only the critics are produced. Where is the benevolence? There's no question of benevolence at all. So in the freedom loving people who are supposed to be free, the idea of benevolence is finished. Because whatever good for you, whatever is benevolent for you, can be only understood if you have wisdom, if you have depth. But if you have this kind of freedom is to go amok, do what you like. Because everybody is doing it, I must do it. Everybody is singing like this, so I must do it. But from where does this idea come in? From where these ideas come in are the entrepreneurs who want to befool you, make slaves out of you. And this slavery is so-called freedom for you, but actually I think it's complete slavery because you do what they tell you. Behave in the same manner as whatever they say. There are no fashions in that country. Very few women indulge into fashions. Nothing. And men are also very simple. There are no fashionable things. They have only things which are convenient, good for their climate. That's what they wear. Whether you laugh or don't laugh. It's everybody laughs here. If anybody laughs at them, they'll say, they're stupid. They have a pity for him. That's all. So one has to understand that it was the King Rama who was made actually accepted by the public, like a crown was put on his head. To say that benevolence is the highest thing. Whatever is benevolent for us should be accepted in our freedom if we are really a free country. But if we are not free inside, we are bound by what people will say, they'll criticize us. Do you know, as a result of that, there is no art in this country. But I saw a lot of art growing in Russia. Because any art you produce is criticized. So people have to be careful, this not be so much, little this, little that. Nobody can produce any art there. Any musician is there, is criticized in these countries. There, if you go, the musicians are tremendous musicians. They have of a very high quality musicians there, very high quality of dramatists, not at all boring as they are here. If you go any play in England, it's so boring that you feel like running away from it, extremely boring. There was a play we went to see, it was called as Star Express or Express Star or something. There was nothing except on the wheels, they were moving around us, nothing there. So anybody would go mad with it, I tell you. We were there hardly for 15 minutes, came out with a headache. We didn't know where to go. So with this kind of criticism that we have, is only freedom we have is to criticize others, make fun of others, react to others. How can you enjoy? To enjoy others, first of all, you must accept the goodness of other people, not mentally, from your heart. And that will bring the benevolence on this country of ours, which we call the kingdom of God. Then there is, the second day is where Narakasura was killed. Now Narakasura was the one who was the devil from the hell, they say. Very cunning, very clever, and he was killed by the goddess. Actually, he was killed by another incarnation, Kartikeya, but goddess gave him the power to kill. So when he was killed, it was celebrated because the evil was killed. But we don't find that. These days the evil people are getting peace awards. So what is the reason for this kind of a perverted brain? How is it they are using perversion? Just the opposite of it. What has worked out? These things. So again we find the same so-called freedom to become also evil. So we have freedom to become evil. First of all, we have freedom not to be benevolent, and secondly, to become evil, we have freedom. So the Narakasura within us must be killed, the one which teaches us evil, to do evil to others. If you are busy doing evil to others, you can never enjoy. Because you enjoy doing evil to others. So that has to be faced within ourselves, not in other people. It's very easy to say that this Sahajogi is caught up, that Sahajogi is like that. But very difficult to say, Mother, I am caught up. I have got this problem within myself. So when you start seeing yourself, your heart opens out. Unless and until you learn how to open out your heart, how can you enjoy? Open your heart. Many people live on very superficial level. All right, some of them might say that I am possessed, Mother, I have got this position. Why? I have got this conditioning, that conditioning. But why? You don't want to enjoy. So watch yourself, see for yourself. This is my conditioning, all right, I'll put to right. See in the mirror, tell yourself, this kind of a useless conditioning, I've got it from where? Because I'm Indian, because I'm French, because of English. Open the heart. And opening the heart is only possible if Narakasura sitting on your heart is killed, finished, once for all. In small, small things there is joy. In very little things also there is a ripple of joy. If you are sensitive, you can catch it. Why not enjoy? Why to have this stupid conditioning on our heads for nothing at all that we can't enjoy? Enjoyment is only possible if you take out this one sitting on your heart. So, that is the second part of the Diwali, that you have to open your heart. Forget your nationality, forget your race, forget everything. So funny kind of things Sahajogis have. They must be respected, they must be treated like this, or maybe that we are something great and they are no good. If you cannot mix up with the collective, something wrong with you. Nothing wrong with others. Easy to find faults with others. But what's the use? If you start finding faults with others, you do not become clean. Supposing I find that your clothes are not clean. My clothes are not going to get clean by that, are they? It's so practical and simple it is that we should see ourselves what's wrong with us and improve ourselves so that we can really, really from our heart enjoy. Third one is a very beautiful thing, is the Lakshmi Pujan. It's the day they worship Lakshmi. I've told you many times, the symbol of Lakshmi was created really beautifully. And it was so that she came out of the water. Through the water she came out, so clean. And she has no pride. She doesn't assert herself. She doesn't put her pressure on others. But human beings are just opposite. If they have money, they ride on a horse all the time. They cannot come down. It's impossible to talk to them. So, a person who has money is not a one who is worshipping Lakshmi, who is not a Lakshmipati, as call him, the owner of the Lakshmi. Because she stands only on a lotus. Can you imagine how light she must be to stand on a lotus? She has a big body, everything is there, but she stands on a lotus. That she takes all her weight within herself. She just sucks in her weight, as Shri Krishna has described, that like a tortoise sucks in his legs inside his body, in the same way, we have to suck in all the weight of money, weight of your positions, weight of your so-called education, weight of some aristocratic family you are born of. This is all nonsense, which makes you a heavy person to go down very fast. So she stands or floats in a way on the lotus. And what a thing is beautiful is lotus, that she doesn't disturb any petals of the lotus, nothing. She just stands peacefully in a balance. Unless and until you have a balance, you cannot stand on a lotus. So she is so balanced. Her center of gravity is so balanced that she cannot topple down. Now in Sahaja Yoga, some people you ask them, how are you? 10 years have passed. Sometimes like this also. Why? Because you must be grounded in the Mother Earth, into the practical side of it. It's nothing something we are hanging in the air, but we are grounded in the Mother Earth. And the slightest thing happens to us, again we come back to our balance. So this is her position when she stands up in the lotus. Now she has a hand, one hand like this, one hand like this. And there are two hands which have got, again the lotus as the pink ones. Yesterday you saw the pink. Pink is her fragrance, I think, is spread on the sky. But she's pink. Pink because that shows that her house, her nature is pink. Pink is inviting, is loving. She is a very fond hostess, that she wants everybody to come in her house. But if you see a rich man, he'll have 10 dogs outside and nobody can come inside the house. Only the dogs, and he lives. He can't live with human beings. So the house is closed, the doors are closed, everything closed, money is closed permanently. So, such a person cannot be called as Lakshmipati. He is not a Lakshmipati. Because he must have a cozy, beautiful, cozy, again I say cozy house. Cozy doesn't mean like a hospital. Anything drops, you feel frightened. Oh my God, let me pick it up. Cozy means where you are comfortable. It's all right. In the house, in the home, if somebody comes and stays, then if little bit is here and there, doesn't matter, then you put it right. But that doesn't mean a lousy house also. It should not be taken as a lousy house, but a house which is inviting. When people come in, you give them a place to sit down and make them enjoy. It's not done in India, at least I don't know. So far we are now quite getting westernized, that anybody drops something on the carpet, will never clean it in their presence because it's very bad manners. Carpet is not important than the guest, is it? Or if he breaks something, say a glass, they may say very good, something has gone out, some bad thing has gone out. Or a thermometer is broken, we say the same thing. All these things happen. In a way, just to see how far we are open-hearted. Or to suggest to you that something is going wrong. If something falls off, just see what's going on in your brain. What are you thinking? Is there something funny you are thinking about somebody, or something wrong you are thinking? Then it's happening. Otherwise, everything is nice and smooth. So another conditioning we have, which is a very, very funny conditioning. Either we'll have the lousiest of lousiest houses, or we'll have houses which will just like hospitals. Even a rat would not enter there, leave alone human beings. They'll polish all the brass, they'll polish everything. Husband and wife will fight on that. They'll have divorces for it. But not even a rat will enter that house. I have seen many houses like that. And I have seen the other way around also, those that are lousiest, where there is no garden, there are no flowers, nothing beautiful. So, we have to be not to this extreme or that extreme, but something that will give joy to others, to visitors, to people who come to your house, will soothe the sick. People should feel happy to come to your house. So there's no showing off. Not to show off, but to make them comfortable and very happy. You can do lots of things, very interesting things, if you have the Lakshmi principle in you. I met once a Chinese gentleman, a very, very beautiful house, everything, and he was so interesting. It made the house very interestingly, very nice, very beautiful. And you didn't feel any aggression at all in that house. So, I saw his dining room done with very good, beautiful green marble and white lights. I said, must be quite expensive. No, that's the beauty. It's very cheap. You know how I did it cheaply. All the time he was telling me how he did things cheaply, means he's never showed off it's expensive. But a person who's aggressive will say, oh, you know, this one I got it for so much, so much, so much. But a person who wants to give you joy says, no, I do it so cheap you won't believe, for a song. That's the sign of a person who wants to give joy to his guests. He'll never try to say that it's very expensive, I spent so much money, this is so, this, that. This is showing off. And then ultimately if it says very good 3 times, then it's yours. Have it. Of course he can't give you the floor, the rest of it you can take. That's what it is. A personality which is joy-giving. Like a lotus, as I have told you before also, a beetle comes, a black beetle with horrible thorny legs, and enters into this lotus for sleeping in the night, you see. And the lotus closes down its coziness on it, and it sleeps very comfortably. And then next day it opens out, so it flies out. That's how your homes, your ashrams, your hearts should be. Beautiful. So that anybody can feel that soothing and that comforting feeling when they are in your company. But not a person who was reactionary. Like you go to somebody's house and immediately say, I don't like this carpet. Says it's bad manners, absolute bad manners to say like that. To say that I don't like it is bad manners for surgery. Any music you hear, supposing there's a musician who could be of a very high level, could be of a very ordinary level. You should be able to enjoy everything, otherwise you are not a surgeon. If you are going to criticize a musician, that, oh God, what a musician, he is no good, this, that, then he is not going to improve. But if you encourage the musician, oh, you're very good, you're very great, he'll play much better next time, you see that. There's no falsehood about it. Some people think it's not honest. But this kind of useless, absolutely fatal kind of honesty is not wanted in sadhana. You be honest to yourself, and there's no need to tell anybody your opinion very honestly. Keep it to yourself, all these honest opinions, and direct towards yourself. Like you see somebody. Honestly, you want to tell him that he's wearing a funny dress. Honestly. You better look at yourself. What sort of a dress you are wearing, and what business you have got to tell him that he's wearing funny. On the contrary, say, this is very nice, I like it, it's very nice, it's good, good, nice one. They say, no, but he'll say that, no, not so good, yours is nice. Oh, you can get this very cheaply. You see, very cheaply, I'll tell you from where you can, or you can have it if you like. I can take yours, you take mine. So the basic subtle point is that with your love, you are encouraging everyone. You are helping everyone. You are creating a confidence in him, his personality, and a kind of a rapport which is very subtle. So, a lotus is born in the pond which is so dirty, filthy, full of worms, everything, like as we see the world is today. But the lotus covers, which is fragrance, the whole of that pond, and covers it up completely, and you forget to think what is behind it. It has very big leaves, you see, like the ears of the elephant, and that covers the whole thing. So you don't see any filth or dirt. What you see is beautiful green, big leaves. Sometimes they are like a thali, like a big thali that we use for eating. And then all these things are covered with it. There's no honesty about it. They could say, why should we be honest? Let's see all the worms and the filth growing about. But the honesty lies in honestly understanding what is your job as Sahajogi is. You are not there to point out the bad points, but you are there to cover all the bad points, all the loopholes with your love. That's your job. And there you have to be honest. Sense of honesty, the way it is accepted these days, it has created only cheats and thugs and thieves. Even a thief can be won over. You can. I'll give you an example. I met one boy in Delhi market. Poor thing, he was all wounded, he was suffering, so I brought him in the car home. So in the family, my brother and my husband both got very worried. He said, who is this brother-in-law you brought it? I said, he's my nephew, all right, let it be, doesn't matter. Whatever you say, I'll keep him. So I looked after him, I treated him, he got all right. These two persons got after him. You could send him to the police, send him to the police. I said, try, let us see. He's a good man, he'll be all right. No, send him to the police. Might have been, I don't know, might have been. And they were after his life. Till 10 days he was all right. I soothed him that. After 10th day he was so fed up with these two persons, he ran away. And he ran away with what do you know? He ran away with all the things that belong to my brother and my husband. And he left my necklaces, my watches, everything nicely. He didn't touch them. He didn't touch them. Hello, see, when I'm talking, don't talk to each other. This is a new Sahajogi, tell him not to talk. When I'm talking, don't talk. That's not the way. So he just ran away. And imagine he left, I had a necklace, a very nice, beautiful, expensive necklace, I should say, given by my mother. He didn't touch it. He didn't touch anything. And he took away whatever was possible from their purse, from their things, whatever were left, everything he took away. Now I said, now go to the police. What? So, this is how one has to know that the honesty is for yourself, not for others. Don't try to be honest with others. Be honest to yourself. Keep that honesty to yourself, because maybe it's rational and maybe that it is just a matter of habit that you are trying to hurt others. So first check on your mind and find out if you are trying to hurt others or you are trying to please others. Otherwise don't talk, just keep quiet. If you are going to say something to please others, talk, otherwise just don't talk. And you'll be surprised. When you say nice things to others, how niceness comes to you. Like supposing somebody comes and tells me that, mother, he's very bad, he's troubled me so much, this thing, that thing. I don't like him. So I tell him, no, he was praising you a lot. He's not honest, but I tell him. He was praising you, he was so much in love with you, he's so kind to you, he was telling me he loves you very much. He said, really? Yeah, he did say. Next day you find them going together. So in Sahaja Yoga, once you come in, there's very little is left out, very little here and there. Some of them are really very superficial, but most of you have very little things left here and there. And only if you can watch that part, you can throw it away and you can really become very joyous people. Wow. Now there are some people who never smile, who never laugh. So then you are allowed to tickle them. It's absurd. It's said that you have to be like children. You have to be like children. You play with something, finish. Then you play with another thing, finished. You don't get involved into anything. You don't get attached to anything. Unless and until you have that childlike heart, you cannot enjoy Sahaja Yoga. It's useless. You will be here for years together. You will be useless, absolutely. Especially if you are coming from false gurus, it's very difficult. Because what I have known of false gurus, they never laugh, never smile. They are very serious. Only take your money, keep on the backside. So it is important that we should be in a very joyous mood, alert, aware, enjoying every bit of it. That's one of the Lakshmi's principles. Now another thing is that the suggestion is of the left hand is like this, means she is giving. A person who has money must give. Not to the Pope, I never mean that. But must give to somebody who needs it. But so secretly that this hand should not know, is so far away, this one. This hand should give, just secretly. Sometimes it's difficult to give money to anyone. I find it difficult because I find it that people will not like it. So there is a way of giving. There are so sweet ways of giving. Just try to notice what that person likes. Sometimes even children understand. Like I know of my granddaughter, she said, this boy, Nani, doesn't even have any good chappals. I feel so bad about it. But how to give him? He will not take money from me. So I said, you do one thing. You go and do something to his chappal. So she went and she little bit spoiled his chappals more, you see. They were walking together, it broke. So she said, see now, chappals are broken. She took him to a chappal shop and bought him a chappal. He said, but I have no money. He said, no, just take it, that's all right. So just, I'll be very happy to take. That's all. It's so sweet to hear and then do it. How beautiful it must be. We like to hear everything. We want to see in a film everything good, in a television. But when it comes to us, we are different. When we see a mother-in-law torturing her daughter-in-law, we always say, oh, look at her, how cruel she is. But we don't want to see we are the same. So cruelty is out of question in Sahaja Yoga. Out of question. Nobody has to be cruel to anyone. Nobody has right to be cruel. Whether they are leaders or non-leaders or anything they are, you have no business anyway to be cruel to anyone, hurting anyone. We are not daggers. We are lotuses. If you have to hit somebody, hit with a lotus. It's such a delicate thing. But it can be only understood if you go deep into it, into Sahaja Yoga. Otherwise it cannot be understood. Now, a saint is a saint. He cannot become cruel. He cannot. There's no need. What is the need to be cruel? So then, with one hand, there should be dhan, means giving. Giving in a way that is secret. There's no need to give me anything. I've been telling you, don't give me anything. I don't want to take anything. If you give me anything, gold and silver, I'll leave it here. I cannot take it. The reason is not that, I don't appreciate that you are loving me, this thing, but a flower is sufficient for me. But a person who needs something, you must give. I am so self-contained, I know that very well, that I can live anywhere, I can live on the street, I can live anywhere, I have no problem. I can do without food, no problem. All right, in adoration you want to give me something. But I've been telling that don't give me. If you give me anything expensive, I'll leave it here. I will not take it. And we have now passed a law, regulation, everything, but I hope you listen to me. So what is needed is the thing that we should know what is the dearth of another person. What will you need? You need silver for puja, all right, I'll give you silver, all right. But in such a sweet manner that you don't feel that mother is giving us anything. So there should be a feeling of giving at the right time, at the best opportune moment to give something. That is also one thing, just like a cameraman knows when to click. In the same way, you must know where to click when giving is concerned. When odd times if you give, it can be a very hurting thing. A person can feel very hurt if you give at the odd time to someone something. You have so many stories of that kind, like Sudama's, that when he went to see Shri Krishna, and Shri Krishna took out his procession. In the procession, they were just taking out his bad eyes with some pearls. So Sudama said, let one pearl fall into my lap also. He was very poor. But when he went back, he saw his house was made of gold by Shri Krishna. It's such a surprise. So that elevates the heart. So it should be elevating. It should not be sensational, but it should be elevating, and that helps the person. Because whatever you give for spiritual growth is the one that is the best thing that you can give to anyone, even in material things. Even in material things, you give something for spiritual growth. There are so many ways, if you want to think about it, of giving someone something, that spiritually he feels comforted, he feels happy and joyous. The another hand is like this. This hand is shown that you have to protect. You have to protect. I have seen Sahajogis, some of them who are very superficial, join hands with non-Sahajogis. Immediately, you can make out the fraternity. If I see one woman going with another woman, who I know is a Bhutishwan, I know the another one must be. That's how the combination always works. There's a fraternity of good Sahajogis and fraternity of bad Sahajogis. So, when you see this hand is a protection to all the Sahajogis. We all have to protect each other. Nobody should touch you. Of course, I am all the time worried about your protection. If anybody comes and criticizes Sahajogi, anyone, he may be the Prime Minister or anything, I'll stand by the Sahajogis. I'll go up to any courts or anywhere and I'll stand by that Sahajogi. Even he may be wrong, still I will stand by the Sahajogi because his spirit is there. So we have to protect. We have to protect our children. We have to protect our wives. We have to protect our husbands. We have to protect, and our raksha as they call it. Protect all the artists. Protect all the people who need protection in this world. So many people need protection from surgeries. Now see, the classical art is dying out. They're having funny sort of a modern art. I don't mind if it is really modern in the sense that they are evolved people and they are producing something of a spiritual value. But one line like that and one line like that makes a drawing or a painting. Don't support such nonsense. Then poetry, which is wrong, should not be supported. Or literature, which is talking of filthy things, ugly things, dirty things, should never be protected. But whatever is good, whatever is beautiful, produced, created by anyone, even by a child, must be protected. Like a politician who is an honest politician, is a good politician, who is a benevolent. He may not be a Sahajogi, but he should be protected. In your heart of hearts, you should think, Mother, please protect this man. You must have feelings for them. So what we have to protect here is the goodness, is the peace. That's our duty. We have to protect. We should not say, all right, why should we care? He's not a Sahajogi. No, but he's a good man. Whether he's a Sahajogi or not doesn't matter, but he's a good man, so we protect him because of his virtues. You must protect a person who is virtuous, very important. For his virtue's sake, you must protect him. And you should not be only limited in among yourselves, Sahajogis. You are the protector of the world. You are the kings of the world. Think like that. You have to worry about everything. What's happening here and what's happening there, you must know everything. So, some people say, Mother says, don't say television. I do not say like that. Absolutely. What I was saying, you must see what's happening in the world. But all the time glued to the television, your eyes will be spoiled and see all dirty, filthy nonsense. There's no need. But why should I tell you? You yourself will know. But you must see things. You must be informed, well informed, especially the ladies must be very well informed. It's very important because what I find, ladies in Sahaja Yoga, they come, they just jump in the scene, finish that. That's not the way. You must learn how to swim, you must know how to make others also to swim, to protect them. You must know everything that's going on in this world where you are born. You are not to be just secluded from there. You must know everything. You ask me, I am a woman, I know everything about every country, I know the problem. That's how I can solve. In Colombia, I went there, you know what has happened now, Colombia. In Russia, everywhere. You have to put your attention to all these things, especially the women must know their Shaktis. And their Shakti is of love, of attention. So this protective speciality has to be with us, and we must know we are in charge. We are in charge of this world. We are in charge of the whole humanity. We have to look after them. We are not limited Sahajogis. We are unlimited. We are eternal beings. And take up that personality within yourself. Then only the Diwali is completed. You can't have Diwali with something that is short-lived. You have to have something that's burning forever. So this is the beauty of Sahaja Yoga, is that you become really a great personality. But this is not the end of it. This is only the Lakshmi principle I told you. But once this Lakshmi principle covers you up, then the Mahalakshmi principle starts. Is that you think of the world as a great challenge to you. That you have to give the Mahalakshmi principle. That you have to give them realization. You have to raise them up. And this principle, once starts working in the Mahalakshmi principle, then all the problems are your own. You have to start working it out. Change the attitude is the best way I can say towards all other things, that we have to solve the problem. We are here to solve the problem. Like I have seen is a very common thing. Somebody comes out with a problem, I tell them, do this. They'll say, but in this. Then do that, but in this, that. Like that, they go on, all the loopholes, till I say, now this is your problem, not mine. I am giving you 100 solutions and none of them suits you. But here you should know you are the one who has to solve the problem. It is your problem. The world is your problem. Why were you born at this time? Why did you get your realization? And why are you Sahaj Yogis? Just for namesake? So in every field you have to take responsibilities to see what you can do. Supposing you are an architect, all right, have designs made. Create designs. Just try. I'll help you. You are a musician, then take up ways and methods of spreading good music. If you are a writer, then write something interesting, not boring, something interesting, something which will elevate people. If you are a government servant, all right, try to show that you are acting for the government that is of a much higher level, and such a person will be respected, very much respected. Everybody's personality will grow, not that you run away from somewhere, because most of the people say that mother we get caught up, this, that, It depends on. I told you that I have to sometimes shake hands with 600 people who are sometimes absolutely drunk. So it's all right, that's my job. So we are not going to run away. We are covered with the protection of the spirituality. If you can keep to the central path of Sushumna, nobody can touch you. So, out of the Lakshmi principle, I hope you get all the tattvas, all the principles satisfied in you, fully, and also the Mahalakshmi principle flows through your being. You have to be very satisfied and comfortable people, not to find faults. If you are finding faults, then know that you are not Sahaj Yogis. If you are trying to control others, then know that you are not Sahaj Yogis. Even the leaders, I would say, should never try to control. They must know how the principle is working in the silence. See for themselves how it is working. There's a trick you must learn. Of course, little correction is needed. That time you correct the person. At that time doesn't matter. But you must know how the whole principle of benevolence is working itself. The whole Param Chaitanya is doing the benevolence part. You must know that. As I have told you before also, we have to be like the sea, which receives all the rivers into it. If you are on top of the hill, you cannot receive anything. So you have to be like a sea to receive everything, and you have to be at the height. As I told you the other day, the same way, that very close to this sea, there should be a personality which is above everything else. Such a beautiful personality you should have is the depth of the sea and the height of the Kailasa. May God bless you all.
अब हम सब मिलकर परम पूज्य श्री माता जी की आरती करेंगे।
सबको दुआ देना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। जय निर्मल माता जी, जय निर्मल माता जी। दिल में सदा रहना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। सबको दुआ देना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। जय निर्मल माता जी, जय निर्मल माता जी। दिल में सदा रहना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। जग में संकट कारण कितने लिए अवतार माँ, कितने लिए अवतार। विश्व में तेरी महिमा, विश्व में तेरी महिमा। गंगा यमुना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। सबको दुआ देना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। जय निर्मल माता जी, जय निर्मल माता जी, दिल में सदा रहना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। मानव में अवतर के कर दिया उजियाला, माँ कर दिया उजियाला। कलयुग में माया है, कलयुग में माया है, फिर भी पहचाना माँ, सबको दुआ देना, सबको दुआ देना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। जय निर्मल माता जी, जय निर्मल माता जी, दिल में सदा रहना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। संत जनों की धरती है भारत माता, माँ है भारत माता। इस धरती पर आकर, इस धरती पर आकर दुख से दूर करना माँ, सबको दुआ देना, सबको दुआ देना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। जय निर्मल माता जी, जय निर्मल माता जी, दिल में सदा रहना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। जब दिल में आए तब मधुर संगीत सुन लो माँ, मधुर संगीत सुन लो। होए सके जो सेवा, होए सके जो सेवा, हमसे करा लेना माँ, सबको दुआ देना, सबको दुआ देना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। जय निर्मल माता जी, जय निर्मल माता जी, दिल में सदा रहना माँ, सबको दुआ देना माँ, सबको दुआ देना माँ, सबको दुआ देना। त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री महालक्ष्मी महासरस्वती महाकाली त्रिगुणात्मिका नमो नमः। ॐ त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री कलकी साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माता जी। श्री निर्मला देवी नमो नमः। ॐ त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री कलकी साक्षात् श्री स्वामी मोक्ष प्रदायिनी माता जी। श्री निर्मला देवी नमो नमः। श्री निर्मला देवी नमो नमः। श्री निर्मला देवी नमो नमः। बोलो श्री आदिशक्ति माता जी। श्री निर्मला देवी की जय।